Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm Jesse Waters along with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. A new year, a fresh start. 2017 was a big year for The Five, and 2018 will be even bigger. Why don't we kick it off with some of your questions? We'll answer them throughout the hour. Let's begin with Richard S. He wants to know, what is your story of the year? Greg, what do you think?
Initially, I was going to say us moving to 9 p.m. and what a great idea that was. It changed everything, how the show turned out. I mean, being at 9 o'clock was... But now we're back at 5, so I had to change that. I call this year the Great Disconnect, which is the difference that is between what people are feeling and how things are actually unfolding. So you have a lot of people feeling emotional about the every day being so different and the news being so fast. Some people think it's the end of the world. Other people think it's the greatest thing ever. But meanwhile, when you divorce the feeling from action, it's a pretty good year. The stock market's up, unemployment's down, there's deregulation, ISIS is destroyed. There's a lot of good things happening. It's like a solid year. That's the disconnect. It's the solid part of the year versus this kind of like chaotic emotional sense that people are dealing with.
Yeah, no one has any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Dana Perino, what is your biggest story?
I think it is the turning back of ISIS because before, if you look at in 2016, especially what was happening to young women all across the Middle East, the Yazidi women in particular, being just absolutely raped, tortured, this wholesale destruction in that area, and that because of the rules of engagement changing and other countries pitching in to help, that ISIS, not dead by any means, but certainly without its territory anymore. I think that, to me, is probably the most consequential story of the year.
I was going to go with the launch of the Daily Briefing.
Oh,
but now I think I'm going to go with
He's retracting that?
story.
Thank you.
Juan Williams, what do you think?
I don't think there's much question. It's the hashtag #MeToo, people. And I think it's changed so much. I mean, it's just a really tumultuous time. But I'd also say that so many people say to me, they just feel like they're living in crazy times, that things are just wild. I mean, it's just like nobody knows, like a roller coaster ride just to go through life these days, to pick up the paper. Some people tell me they can't even take the news anymore. They want to listen to music or watch.
Now, are these voices in your head, Juan?
Sometimes, except I have to be in the news. So, no, but I mean, obviously, President Trump's inaugural was huge. I think we've had big change in terms of public attitudes on health care. Obamacare suddenly is popular with people. Those are big changes.
The popularity of Obamacare. Did not see that coming.
Yes.
Kimberly, what do you think the biggest story was?
Yeah, slept right through that. I definitely would have said ISIS if we started at this end of the table. I concur with my esteemed colleague over there because, you know, every time I talk to people about politics and about what's going on in the world, they talk about this, and it's such an important issue that everyone says, wow, I wish we heard more about this because it's such a tremendous turnaround, and also with the rules of engagement. But besides that, I would say the economy, too, in terms of what we've seen are tremendous increases in terms of job numbers and really things like moving in a good forward progression. So I'm happy about that, and especially for the families.
Can I throw in a B level?
Yeah.
So the B level would be the weather. You know,
crazy weather,
Yeah, it has been. I mean, huge storms. I mean, what happened in Texas and Houston in particular? And it wasn't just there. Remember what happened in Miami? I mean, they had pictures from Miami, like Biscayne Boulevard, like flood. I'm like, what?
Yeah, also a lot of shootings. Still don't have a lot of answers there. Question from Steve B. What would you like to see the Trump administration achieve in 2018? Kimberly, what's left at this point?
I don't know. I'm almost tired of winning because this is what he said would happen. And we all thought, wait a second, that sounds like, but no, overachiever. What would I like to still see happen?
2018.
I don't know. Probably a continuation of the fight against terror because, yes, ISIS has definitely been decimated and tremendous grounds have been made, however, and gains. I'm still very concerned about Al-Qaeda and other offshoots, AQAP, et cetera, that are really fighting to kind of take that mantle that ISIS held, trying to push forward in the caliphate.
I'm really curious about what yours is, Juan. Go for it.
Oh, I think number one is, from my perspective, if the president could deal with immigration reform, specifically the kids who have been are so anxious, feel threatened by the idea that DACA would go away and they would be instantly deported in a few months. The president has set a deadline of March for this year. And I think he's in a, what I would call in cliche terms, so I'm ready for Greg to leap on me, Nixon goes to China terms, that he is so hard line on immigration that if he's able to cut a deal, I think his base is not going to say, oh, it's a bad deal, it's amnesty, that they might actually embrace and say, well, let's give it a chance. But Donald Trump's doing it. I
was going to agree with you on immigration, except I say I'd like to see the wall built in 2018, or at least begun.
Oh, my God.
What do you think, Dana?
I'm going to do one that might sound not that lofty, but I think it's super important and it's achievable in a midterm election year, and it would take something all across, like an administration effort, and that is to ease the way for people to adopt children. I think that from what do you call that, foster care programs, there are a lot of people who are willing to take care of them, but the way to adoption is actually quite cluttered, and there are regulations that could change. I think there's stuff you can do within the federal government to help improve upon that, but also international adoption has been way, way down, and there are American couples that would love to adopt children from anywhere, from all over the world, but there have been all of these rules put in place, and I think that President Trump, possibly working with the First Lady, could actually turn that around, and it would be really worthwhile. I always thought that Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, would have done something more in that realm, but she never did, and this is an opportunity that they could really make a difference. It's a very pro-life type policy, and it could help bring a lot of joy to American families.
And that'd be achievable, I think.
I think so, too.
Very thoughtful.
Greg Gutfeld.
Fat kids.
What?
Got a lot of fat kids out there. We got to get those kids skinny.
Yeah?
I think it's a problem. Too many fat kids.
I thought you liked fat kids.
I love fat kids. I'm being sarcastic.
Clearly.
I'm kind of in the world of Kimberly.
What?
I still believe it's terror, but I believe they have to really focus on the marriage of terror and technology.
Yes, that's true.
Because we've seen over the holidays what happened in Atlanta when an airport goes dark. Total panic. Imagine if that was happening in every city. I think we have to think about what happened, attacks on our grid. I don't know what he can do that he could tell us about, though. He probably couldn't tell us what they're doing. We also need a plan against the robots.
Yep.
Because they are coming, and they are becoming self-aware. I'm on their side.
Terror robots.
Terror robots.
Terror robots. Moving on. Question from Lindy R. What is the dumbest resolution you've ever made? Let's start with Juan.
Well, I was going to try to eat less ice cream.
That's never going
And
to
that didn't happen.
Didn't happen, man.
Yeah, I did that too. I tried to ban all dessert. And I think it lasted about 3 months.
All teenage
Oh, wait,
boys.
you got
do.
3 months?
That was pretty good. I was pretty
excellent.
proud of myself.
Yeah, high five, yeah.
What about you, KJ?
I think I'm going to call fake news on that. I don't think you lasted 3 months.
Are you calling me a fat kid?
Good on you. Good on you. Mine would also be one time I thought that I wasn't going to eat salami or any kind of cured meats, but that obviously was an epic fail. I think I lasted like 24 hours. And thank you again, Dana, for my nice present with all the delicious salami.
Oh, yeah. What do you think? What was the
I think,
dumbest you made?
and actually, I had made the resolution while we were here, and Gutfeld said, sorry, not Gutfeld, Greg. Look at it. Greg says, that's stupid. Why would you even try to do that? And it was to try to drink less wine and like maybe not drink during the week, but that didn't last. And then like if you make a resolution, then you think about it more. And the more you think about it, the more you want it.
Okay. I agree with Gutfeld. That was a really dumb resolution.
Or Greg.
Or
for that
Greg.
matter.
Both of them I agree with.
My dumbest resolution was last year when I tried to quit being so selfless. And I said, you know what? I've been giving too much of myself to so many people. It's time to think about Greg, think about Gutfeld. But then I realized, you know what? I can't change me. I can't change being so selfless and so willing to help other people less fortunate than me. And let's face it, that's 99.9% of the population.
That's like in the interview when they say, what is your biggest weakness? And you say, I just work too hard. I
care too much.
I care too much.
Thank you for explaining my joke, Waters.
Okay. Some of the people are a little inebriated. All right. This is from Victoria E. What was the best year in your life and why? Let's start with you, Dana, and I bet it's this year because I joined the 5.
That's right. And the daily briefing started.
That's true.
The best year of my life, these are difficult. I'm pretty grateful for every year that I've had. I think...
Met Peter.
I was going to say the year that I met Peter and moved to England and had that experience of being newly married and overseas with a new puppy and then moving back to America, like that year was crazy. And I can't believe that We left the United Kingdom and came back to the States. We decided to live in San Diego because we could. I didn't have a job. He was going to start a business. We didn't have a car, and we had a puppy. We didn't even have a bed, and we had to do all of these things that I think right now, if I looked at how adventurous that was, I don't know if I would do it again.
Yeah, my best year was when you left the country also. So,
Okay.
Kimberly.
Oh my God, you're kind of mean sometimes, right?
Mean Mondays.
He's like so the best year I would
And
say,
Sundays.
yes, for sure, was the year Ronan was born. Was 2006, and that was very, very fun because every day, as much as I miss my mom and dad, I get very excited when I see his little face because he reminds me so much of them. And I thought, wow, this is really incredible.
Adorable. Greg?
Oh, I would have to say my favorite year was 1984 because we proved that that book was just garbage. Remember? Oh, 1984. 1984 was fine.
Okay, Juan?
You know, I mean, it's hard for me because, you know, you get to be a certain age and you're like, boy, there's a lot of years. And time goes faster now. And I was always curious. I was always curious, why does time seem to go so fast? How did we get to be New Year's Day? I'm like, wow, I just thought it was Easter the other day.
Can I explain that to you?
Well, no, I was going to say that somebody said to me this year, actually 2017, last year, they said to me, as you get older, the day, 24 hours, is a smaller percentage of your total life.
I think I told you that.
No, you didn't tell me, but it's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting concept.
Basically, you have more behind you than in front of you. So what's in front of you by a fraction is smaller. That's why when you're a kid, when you're like 4 years old, a birthday is like an eternity, and the night before Christmas is like 7 years.
Yes.
But then, like, as you get older, there's a fraction. It's nothing. That's why I've calculated that 1 week at the age of 53 is basically 1 day when you're 6.
Well, in summertime.
That's uplifting.
Summertime.
I know.
Things like summertime
Debbie Downer
and
over
snowfall.
We're going to do this really quickly. Real quick around the horn. Question from Donna W. If you could assume the identity of another person for 2018, who would it be? Greg, assume that person's identity.
My twin brother, Gunther.
Gunther.
Yes.
Are we allowed to call him Gunther?
Yeah, we're allowed.
Okay.
Gunther Gutfeld. He's sometimes here when I'm not.
We
just
can
don't
tell.
know when.
All right, Dana.
I don't know. I've always wanted to be the ambassador to Tanzania.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, she
Okay.
really does want
One day.
a job.
Like
Play your
20
cards
years.
right. The president might make that move.
I think he's got
watching.
plenty of good people right now. But like in 20 years, it would be great.
Okay, Kimberly.
I think I would like to be Theresa May.
Ooh.
Yes.
Along with the royal news.
Yes.
Yes. Now you're catching on.
You can go to the wedding.
I could be in charge of all
Yeah,
things
that's why.
awesome.
She wants to go to the
and
wedding.
I'd be there, the wedding in May. I could be my own official, for real, royal correspondent, and also I could work, you know, strategically with the United States and with President Trump.
Oh, is that how it is? That's how you're getting in, huh?
All right, well,
You caught
last
me.
one here.
Well, I just want to have fun with it, so I'll say Giancarlo Stanton, who just got traded end of last year to the Yankees. He's #1 biggest home run
Superstar.
hitter in the National League in 2017. Now he's with the Yankees, and guess what? He's got a big home run hitter to protect him. So I think this guy's going to have a spectacular. He's going to be a big star in New York City.
I know what your resolution is.
What?
No,
No more guess what.
It has to be.
No, I can't do it, man.
By the way,